Well, I apologise first of all for the straw that is kind of strewn around. It was the children's pageant earlier on, and we just didn't have time to clean up. Anyway, it makes it feel more authentic, don't you think? We're all here in the manger. Which reminds me, it seems almost like a dream now, but only, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks ago, I had the privilege of taking a group on pilgrimage to the Holy Land, to Israel, Palestine. And of course, one of the places that we visited was Bethlehem. And we went to Manger Square and the Church of the Holy Nativity, and it was packed. I mean, there must have been over 10,000 people there with us, all kind of trying to squeeze in. And if you've ever been, or if you've ever seen pictures of the Church of the Holy Nativity, it's got the tiniest of doors. It doesn't have great big doors. It has this really tiny door, and you have to bend low to get into it. There are two stories that explain the small door. One is that it prevented men-at-arms from riding on horseback into church in the Middle Ages. Or the other story is that it makes everyone bow down in humility as they enter the church. I think I like the horse story best myself. But we were there. The church itself dates back to the early 300s. The Empress Helena, the mother of Constantine, had the church, the very first church built. And it's built over a grotto, really no more than a kind of hole in the ground. And she took with her, when she went on pilgrimage to the Holy Land, she spent a number of years there. She took with her all the best minds, the scholars and the academicians and people who knew these things, and she went round all the various places on the Holy Land to find the places where Jesus had actually been, and to the best of her knowledge, this was the place where Jesus was born, a little hole in the ground, which actually sounds a little strange to us, but now that we know a little bit more about biblical archaeology, stables in those days would have been little rough sort of caves with a wooden awning over the front. It wasn't anything like a red barn that we imagine today, just a hole in the ground. Well, as I said, this time, it's my second time there. This time we were literally not able to get into the grotto. There were so many other pilgrims. But we did get to see the church, obviously, these very ancient columns and frescoes going back to the 4th and 5th centuries. And you just can't help but be moved by the presence of all those prayers that have been said and seeped into those walls and now vibrate that love and that faith back to us. And I kind of wondered why we were all there. Why were we all there? I mean, all of us jam-packed and, trying to elbow our way forward. I want to get to Jesus first. Get out of my way. It was a little unruly. Not as bad as the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, but I'll leave that for Easter. So come back for part 2 of the story. But yeah, we were all there, and people from every language and race and nation, pretty much every continent on the planet. And we were all there, all there. Why? Why were we there? Many of us had traveled long, long distances to come to that one sacred spot. I think all of us had come to touch and to see and to hear for ourselves the good news of God's love, and to see this incredible thing that has happened among us. Yes, all those years ago, but still happening today. God's love and God's mercy, God's hope, God's promise among us and for us and within us. We can't be at Bethlehem tonight. I was thinking this afternoon, because the way the international dateline works, we're some of the last on the planet to be celebrating Christmas this year. I think there's Alaska and Polynesia and Hawaii left, but we're some of the last. All our other brothers and sisters have already celebrated. Christmas has already come for them. But I was thinking this morning as I woke up, because I checked my clock, and it was sort of getting towards evening, Jerusalem, Bethlehem time, what it must be like. Because it was busy when we got there a few weeks ago, but I cannot imagine what it must have been like tonight. All those pilgrims, most of whom had no chance of getting into the church at all, let alone the grotto. And they are there. And tens of millions, hundreds of millions of our sisters and brothers have done exactly what we are doing tonight, gathering in churches and cathedrals and maybe people's front rooms and homes and who knows elsewhere. And we are all gathered. And we're gathered like those pilgrims that we were with back in Bethlehem. And we are gathered like all those men and women who have celebrated this day along with us, all down the ages, 2,000 years. We're gathered with the shepherds who received the beautiful news of good joy from the angels, and the Magi. We are gathered, aren't we? At the manger throne, to see and to touch and to hear and to experience something. The good news of God's love, God's promise, God's hope that there is a meaning and that there is a purpose, and our lives are of infinite value. And so tonight, and here is the message. Tonight, as we reach out with our hearts and our imaginations, as we reach out to touch our God, to hear the cry of our Lord Jesus, to see Mary and Joseph, and to marvel at the manger, at the humility of the place where he was born, as we reach out, may we hear God whisper to us, almost inaudibly, and yet we can hear. God whispers, I am with you. I am here. I love you. Amen.